Hey everybody, Shaving Nobody Else's Auto. Got a really unique car to check out today. I didn't even know what this car was when I found it in the weeds, believe it or not. So before we get into this thing though, definitely click that subscribe button. We have had a ton of cool inventory coming in. You don't want to miss any of it. So hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with what's coming in. Some two-door hardtop Lincolns from the 50s, 60 Chevy station wagon, old milk truck, Continental Mark II, some old trucks. A lot of killer stuff been hitting the ground. Hit that subscribe button and start hanging out with us on here on Nobody's Show to keep up with all this cool inventory been hitting the ground. But first off, let's take a look at a couple of pictures of this car as I found it buried in the weeds. Because like I said, I didn't even know what it was. So let's check it out. So that's how I found it, and I was lost. Obviously you could see the weeds were up along the sides. I could see some of this unique trim on the sides. I didn't know what it was. I'd never seen one. So we went and did some stomping around, got the weeds knocked down, and this is what we found. The 1952 Studebaker Champion Regal Starliner two-door hardtop. Pretty unique car. Let's see what Studebaker had to say about it in 1952. We'll start out here with, of course, on the front they've got the Commander. This covers the Champion and the new Commander. And it says Commander V8. Now the Commander was also available in a Starliner, two-door hardtop. And they're very similar body style. There's the new V8. 120 horse V8, establishing new records for thrift and efficiency. Studebaker's leadership in automobile engine designing is again convincingly confirmed by the tremendous success of this far advanced new type of V8. A compact valve and head power plant, this brilliant performing Studebaker V8 is so efficient that top automotive authorities point to it as a new day marvel in the science of gasoline combustion. Without depending upon premium fuel for its amazing zip and pep, the Studebaker V8 delivers an electric smooth, whisper quiet 120 horsepower. Its operating economy, the talk of motorists everywhere. That was a pretty big deal in '52. As we get through our Commanders, we can see some of the artwork and the design and stuff in this brochure, showcasing the interiors. The Commander convertible. And getting back to our champions. Here we go, the Regal Starliner. The new Studebaker hardtop convertible has the smart style and the unlimited visibility of a convertible with the all-weather comfort of a closed sedan. Pretty big deal for '52. Mobile gas runs, testing fuel economy. Mobile gas runs back in the day, very big deal. Testing your new vehicles to see how they did on fuel economy. Showcasing the interiors. The two-door sedan, and of course the iconic Starlight Coupe with the wraparound rear window still available in '52. Even had an automatic available in '52. As we get to the back of the brochure, it shows us the chassis with that new V8 engine in it, all for '52. Now, there's some very interesting things that we just touched on. We've got to take ourselves back in time, back to 1952. This V8, Studebaker, they're again one of the smaller manufacturers at the time. But an overhead valve V8 was a big deal. You've got to remember, Cadillac and Oldsmobile just came out with their overhead valves in '49, 3 years prior to this. Chrysler just came out with the Hemi in '51, right before this. Buick did not have an overhead valve V8 at this point. And of course Chevy and Pontiac did not either. So the V8 was a pretty big deal. You know, Ford in '52, you still had a flathead V8 if you got a V8 in a Ford. So this was huge in '52 for Studebaker to have an overhead valve V8 was ahead of most of the competition at that point. The hardtop body style, once again, a new design. GM came out with it in 49. You could get a Roadmaster, a 98, or a Cadillac Coupe de Ville in a hardtop body. And then shortly after that, then you could get a Pontiac or a Chevy in a hardtop. But this is still a revolutionary design for that time period. So for Studebaker to be putting these things out was a pretty big deal. To have those features and all that stuff available on a Studebaker in 52 was huge. Now this car, as you can see from the pictures of where we found it, and as you can kind of see it from here, it's rough. It's been sitting for a really long time. Like I said, I had never seen one. They're not as rare as I thought they would have been, though. They actually made about 12 or 13,000 of the Champion hardtops, and I think a few more Commanders, like 14,000 Commanders. So not tons and tons of them, but it wasn't something that they only made 500 or a couple thousand cars of. So they did make a few of them, but obviously not something you see on a very regular basis. So let's take a look at this thing and check out some of the interesting features. Up front, it's basically 52 Studebaker on the nose. This is a really cool S on the front with a plastic insert still in it. Front bumper and guards are all still there. But what really makes this car unique is this greenhouse area of this hardtop design. Now, like I said, you've got to remember the hardtop body styles been out for a couple years. GM had it in 49, but look at this A-pillar. Laid back A-pillar, nice slant to the vent window, very racy type look. One-piece windshield, V'd, but kind of a one-piece. Big, wide, heavy belt molding all the way around this car. And this appears to all be pot metal. This isn't stainless. This is chrome-plated pot metal. Separate piece between the wipers, separate end on each side, on the other side of the wiper, full length on the door. And then this is really cool as we get back here to where the C-pillar would come down, and this area right here. There again, we can see the pitting in this. This is pot metal. And it comes back here, and right here it really just all comes together. This ribbed piece here, stepped down, ties in with this broad band around the back window. A pretty good slant to the back window as we look at the profile. And this thing is just so unique. And there again, that's what kind of threw me. I didn't know what this thing was to start with. I had to stomp the weeds around. I found the S on the front, could see the nose, then I knew it was a Studebaker. Still didn't know for sure what it was. Actually had to come home and look it up to get a better idea of exactly what this thing was. But man, it is cool. Studebaker style pull door handles. These were common on most Studebakers of the era. We take a look inside here, and just like you probably figured, it's rough inside with the windows being broke out of it. It's deteriorated. Check out this crown though on the glove box door. However, the seat frames are here. The lower's missing for the rear, but I think that's sitting here on the front. It does have the original split front bench seat in it. So, there again, this type of stuff, if somebody has one of these cars, I don't know where you would ever find these parts. There is so much to this car that is unique to this car that, I don't know where you'd ever find the parts. So I was kind of glad to get it because some guys out there have these things. There's not going to be a lot of options to find these parts. Obviously, I wouldn't probably consider this car restorable at this point. Of course, anything can be restored with enough time and money. But this car is pretty much at the parts car level. But there's so much of this stuff that's here. All this trim on the back as we come around here and square up on this back window. It's so unique. This was a big, wide piece of glass. It flowed down here to the trunk, and the way it wrapped around, I can't really think of it of much like it. And it's probably hard to picture on the camera, but considering what the other hardtops of that era looked like, and maybe it's because it had so much trim, this wide band around it. Even these divider bars are much wider than what most cars of this era were using, and gave you really a wide package tray back here because of the amount of angle and slope to this back glass. Around the back, it's got the regular trunk handle on it, common to that Studebaker's that era. The taillight housings are there, the lenses are gone. Let's take a peek in the trunk. Hooey. There's the original tires and wheels that would have been on the car. They put some rollers on it when they moved it last time, apparently. Old stick. Some trim in here. There's, looks like maybe a door panel molding. Looks like probably would have been on, well, yeah, probably would have been on the inside. Oh wow, there's the, actually this is missing off the left door. That's the left door molding. Hubcaps. Looks like you got 3 of the hubcaps there. Mirror. And a radio. Oh, check this out. Let's see what we got here. Oh. Studebaker Starliner. Is that what it says? Studebaker Starline. It's kind of cool. So, some good bits and pieces in there as well. Over here on the driver's side of the car, kind of more of the same. You know, we see all this unique trim around the side here. Missing the piece off the door, but we now know we've got that in the trunk, which is good. Inside, we've still got the dash in it. Has the Studebaker flowing right underneath the speedometer. And control instructions are right on the knobs on these, pretty unique. There's the other trim molding. So this side has this wide trim on it, and the other side is missing. So this must be, the one in the trunk is for the other side. Even has stainless up here where you would rest your arm. There again, 90% of the time, this trim on almost all cars in this era was painted. This is stainless. That's how decked out these things were. And even here in the rear, we can see it on the back ones. Those even had stainless trim on them as well. So let's work our way around the front, take a peek under the hood of this old champion. And under here, Studebaker V8. Get our prop rod set here on the hood and take a look at this. This is unique. Now, according to the brochure we just looked at, it showed the Commander with a V8, but this is a Champion based on the trim, and that's obviously a V8. So, but this is so cool. Look at this air cleaner assembly. Oil bath hangs over here on the side, all still here. Oil filter. I wonder if this is original. I wonder if Studebaker had an oil filter in that day, because believe it or not, a lot of cars at that point did not have an oil filter yet. The first Chevy V8, the 55-265, did not come with an oil filter. A lot of times they were add-on accessories, and maybe that's what this one is. I'm not sure, but you never know. There's Studebaker was doing some things back then that was a little ahead of time. Right there, we see an electric wiper motor. There again, that was a big deal for the day. In 52, a lot of times, cars, they still had vacuum wipers. So there's a lot of stuff on this car that for 52 was definitely ahead of the game. Oh, check this out, guys. Check out this old radiator cap. Atlas. Not original, but definitely something that came off the shelf of an old service station back in the day. So what a unique car. So anyway, what do you guys think of that? Like I said, I was lost. When I first walked up to it, I was lost. I don't know how many of these cars are out there. I don't know how many people need parts for them, but we've got one here now. They were cleaning up everything on this property. Sure didn't want this thing to go to the crusher. And So, and I don't think they would have let it go anyway. They seen it was such a unique car. I don't think it would have ended up there. But I'm glad that me and a couple of other guys, a friend of mine found it, got in on this deal. He found it first. He was able to get several cars. I was able to get several cars. And fortunately, they saved a lot of this stuff before they just started hauling out the pure iron on the cleanup. So, but you can see where this thing was buried in the weeds. It'd been there for a few days, and such a unique car. But anyway, like I said, for 52, now all this stuff we looked at, we take for granted today. But in 52, this thing was state of the art with all this extra trim, V8 power. You know, this thing was really, really a top of the line car for its day. So anyway, if you got any questions about this old Studebaker or any of the other couple thousand cars and trucks we've got here on the ground at Nobody Else's Auto, just give me a call, 620-786-4428. Giving me a call is the only way to get all the information I need out of you to see if I've got anything that can help you. Year, make, model, body style, the parts you need, or if you're interested in a specific vehicle, that type of stuff. I need all that information to know if I may or may not have something to help you. With the amount of cars and trucks we've got here on the ground, the more information, the better. Texts, emails, none of that stuff is ever complete enough to work with. So just give me a call at 620-786-4428. We'll have that conversation, see if we've got something here that can help you out. So anyway, sure hope you enjoyed the old Studebaker. I was kind of excited about it. The more I learned about it, the more I studied about it, and seeing how for Studebaker to be this advanced in 52 was a pretty big deal. Of course, you got to remember, Studebaker had been around a long time. They'd been around for about 100 years at that point, going back to their buggy days. Studebaker was a major manufacturer, a major player in the wagon industry before transitioning to cars. So believe it or not, Studebaker already had 50 years on transportation on most people at this point. So not completely unsurprising that they were at the forefront on some of this technological stuff at that point. Most manufacturers started in the early 1900s. Studebaker already had 50 years on them by then, and they were at 100 years in this time frame when they got to in the early 50s window of making their cars. So pretty cool piece. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you learned something, because I know I've learned a lot about them, because I didn't know anything about it. When it's pretty odd that I walk up on a car and don't even know what it is. Even if it's buried in weeds and I can only see this much of it, I can usually get within a couple years and usually have the manufacturer down. This one, I didn't even know. I literally did not even know this was a Studebaker until I come and stomp the weeds down in the front. But when I walk up to a car and I can still see this much of it and can't identify it, it's something pretty different and pretty unique. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I learned something. I hope you did. Stay tuned. We got a lot more cool stuff coming up. Hit that subscribe button. Hope you enjoyed the Studebaker. Stay tuned. A lot more cool stuff coming up. Thanks for watching this video. We sure hope to see you soon on the next one.